Hello, my name is Shari Hampton, and I'm a certified elementary school teacher. This is a multimedia presentation on obsolete and emerging technologies. In my industry, I have identified the overhead projector as an obsolete technology, which has been replaced by the interactive whiteboard as the emerging technology. I will use McLuhan's laws of media and the six prominent forces that drive emerging technology to analyze both the overhead projector and the interactive whiteboard. The overhead projector was once an emerging technology in classrooms. It was used to display images inside the classroom. Teachers would copy worksheets onto a transparency sheet and use a non-permanent marker to write or draw on it. Afterwards, the markings could be wiped off and the transparency sheet stored for future use. The overhead projector has now become an obsolete technology. It was once a permanent fixture inside the classroom. However, with the increasing use of computing technology, the use of the overhead projector has declined and in some instances are no longer being seen in the classroom. The interactive whiteboard has become an emerging technology. This technology provides a variety of hands-on learning experiences inside the classroom. An interactive whiteboard, or IWB, is a large interactive display that combines the simplicity of a whiteboard, power of a computer, and front projection. Teachers can now gather a plethora of instructional materials from the internet and display it to enhance the teaching and learning for their students. Here's the tetra for the overhead projector. What it enhances. It allows teachers to display images to an entire group, and it also eliminates the making of multiple copies. What it obsoletes. The whiteboard with dry erase markers, chalkboard with chalk. What it retrieves. Teachers can teach facing the entire class to allow open dialogue between the teacher and the class. What it reverses. Not being able to connect to the internet, the overhead projector limits its uses and functionality. Tetra for the interactive whiteboard. The interactive whiteboard enhances by connecting the computer and internet. It allows teachers to address multiple intelligences. What it obsoletes. It obsoletes the overhead projector, the whiteboard with dry erase markers. It retrieves hands-on learning experience with interactive activities. It reverses handheld devices inside the classroom. Alright. I am conducting an interview with Dr. Janita Richardson, who is an assistant principal with Gwinnett County Public Schools. Dr. Richardson, what role do you play in determining what technology will be implemented in your organization?
Well, it depends on where the funding is coming from. The local school board or the county determines what technology will be coming to the schools. However, specific items can be determined by the school, and that's why I give some input on things that is needed at our school.
Okay, what forms of technology are currently being implemented now?
Currently, we're using the Mimeo boards and the Elmos or the document cameras.
Okay. How are the interactive whiteboards or the Mimeo boards funded?
Currently, we had a new retrofit from the county, and the Mimeo boards, well, actually the Elmos are being provided to every classroom from the county. And those are funds that are downloaded, like I said, through the county and technology. However, the Mimeo boards are something that was purchased via local school through Title I funds or other grants.
Do you believe that the interactive whiteboard has an impact on student achievement?
Not necessarily the whiteboard itself, but how teachers use the whiteboards, basically to differentiate instruction, especially those learners that are visual learners. So it's not the Mimeo board themselves, it's just however teachers use them in the classroom, I think is what makes the most impact for student achievement.
Do you believe you have the flexibility to implement new ideas?
I believe so. I think just depending on what school you're at. Currently under my leader, that he takes into consideration the different things that we're doing and suggestions that we have. far as student achievement and anything that's going to help with student achievement and student progress are things that we look for. So yes, I think that I have that flexibility.
All right. Well, what steps are in place to ensure your teachers receive proper training in using the Mimeo?
We do what we call just-in-time training, and it just really depends on the particular grade level and the skills being taught. What we do sometimes in the mornings, the LSTC will provide training that will be used through the entire school, different activities that they can do. And when we have grade level meetings, teachers will do presentations on how they've used the Mimeo boards that is more grade level specific or content specific.
Okay. Do you think the Mimeo will be around for the next 5 years, or will it be replaced by new technology?
I think it'll be around like the chalkboard. However, I think new technologies will be out within the next 5 years.
Okay. And are there any plans in place to have interactive whiteboards installed in every classroom?
Really, we're just because of the price of them, they're still expensive. We're trying to see how teachers are going to use them first before we install them into every classroom. Like I said, that is something that we're doing locally. So the funding is not there from the county. So basically we're trying to see what teachers would be interested in how they'll use them in the classroom.
Okay, well I thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule to answer my questions.
Okay, thank you.
I am conducting an interview with Ms. Shayla Clay, who is a first grade teacher with Gwinnett County Public Schools. Ms. Clay, what are your duties and responsibilities?
Currently, I am a first grade regular ed classroom teacher.
How long have you been in your current position?
2 years.
And what forms of technology are you using inside your classroom?
The LCD projector, document camera, and the Mimeo.
How often do you use the Mimeo?
At least twice a week during math.
Do you feel that using the Mimeo has a direct correlation on your students' achievement?
No, it's just another tool to engage learners in the learning process.
Did you receive training on how to use your Mimeo?
No, I did not, but my colleagues are a great resource.
What is the morale of your colleagues towards implementing technology?
Most of my colleagues are very receptive to implementing technology as long as they are trained properly on using the new technology.
Does everyone have a Mimeo in your organization?
No, however, the teachers who have requested a Mimeo have them in their classrooms.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
There are 6 forces that drive emerging technology. In the following slides, you will learn more about these 6 forces and how these forces affect the overhead projector and the interactive whiteboard. Evolutionary technology is the idea that a new technology is a progression or growth of a previous one. For the overhead projector, it evolved from the slide projector. It became popular in the educational industry during the 80s and 90s. For the interactive whiteboard, it evolved from the overhead projector, became popular in the educational industry during the late 90s and 21st century. Rhymes of history. Rhymes of history is a new technology with a fresh emergence of the impact felt many years before from another technology. For the overhead projector, it rekindles the opaque projector. The opaque projector projected a solid, non-transparent image on the screen. For the interactive whiteboard, it rekindles the interactive hands-on learning experience. Disruptive technologies or wildcards are new technology suddenly appears and creates a brand new way of thinking about a technological task. The overhead projector evolved from its predecessor, the opaque projector. It was not a technology that suddenly appeared. With the interactive whiteboard, it offers an interactive, hands-on learning experience. Science fiction is based on new technology which emerges from science-based science fiction. With the overhead projector, science-based science fiction movies and books did not have an impact on its creation. Movies like Minority Report have shown technologies with touchscreen capabilities. These technologies have inspired the emergence of the interactive whiteboard. Increasing returns is based on two competing technologies in which one is chosen and the other disappears. With the overhead projector, there wasn't another competing technology to choose against it. However, the interactive whiteboard was the other competing technology because it offers so much more than the overhead projector, which now the overhead projector is the one that is disappearing. Red Queens is a process where two technologies suddenly move ahead of a bunch of competitors because of their fierce competition. With the overhead projector evolved from another technology and therefore its development was not based on Red Queens. The interactive whiteboard manufacturers are competing to gain dominance in the interactive whiteboard market. The future of the interactive whiteboard will continue to show growth within the K-12 classroom. All classrooms will be equipped with the interactive whiteboard. Teachers and students will be able to expand their learning experience with the use of the interactive whiteboard.